Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at how to deploy Next.js to Azure. Right, some people are finding it difficult to deploy their application to Azure or any other cloud platform, because what we'll be doing today, you can repeat it in any other cloud platform, whether it's AWS or DigitalOcean or any other cloud platform. Even if you are deploying to VPS, you can repeat the same thing and it will work. Right. So today we'll be looking at how to deploy um, our Next.js app to Azure virtual machine. If you don't know what a virtual machine is, you can look up our video where we talked about virtual machine. I will put the link in the description. So this is our application. It's just a simple Next.js boilerplate, which I just cloned from the official website. So let's first of all run it locally to make sure that it's working. Right. So to do that, I will open up my terminal. I'll open up my terminal. So you can see that I have opened up my terminal. So let's run it locally to make sure that um, the application is working well before we can deploy it to Azure. So to do that, I'll type npm run. So you can see that my application is running on local host 3000. So let me click on it. So you can see that our app is working well, right? So we can now deploy to Azure. So this is just the Next.js templates I downloaded from their official website. So let me go back. So so the next thing I need to do is let me cut this off. So the next thing I need to do is to push my code to my Git repository, because it's from my Git repository that I will deploy it to my Azure server, right? So to do that, the first thing I need to do is to create a Git repo. If you don't know what Git is, you can look it up, because we have done a video on that, which I will put on the description. So I've already created a repo. So this is the repo. You can see that the repo is empty. So let's initialize our Git here. After that, uh, let's add all the files. Then after that, we can now commit. Then after that, we will push. I was using HTTP instead of SSH, right? So let's try and use SSH. So let me push to the repository. So it has uploaded. If you want to learn more about GitHub, you can check out my video on GitHub, which I will add to the description of this video. So let's go back to GitHub. So if I refresh this page, so you see that that the code is uploaded here. So that's it. So the next thing is to create a virtual machine in Azure. So I'll create a virtual machine in Azure and I'll deploy this code to that server. Right. So let's create a virtual machine on Azure. Keep that. Azure console. So here we will create a virtual machine, right? So it's on that virtual machine that we will deploy our Next.js app. So let's see how to do that. So I'll click here. I'll select my virtual machine. So the first thing I need to do is to create a resource group. So I'll click on create. If you don't know what a resource group is, you can check out my video on resource and resource group. So here I'll type the name of the virtual machine. So I'll leave everything as default. So here, either you choose SSH if you want to log in with SSH, or you choose password. But SSH is more secure, so that is what I will use. Then here I'll type the key pair name here. So after that, so let's go to the next, which is the disk. So we can use 30 gig. I think that will be enough for this tutorial. Then here you can create a new IP. So let's just leave it as static. Right. Then the next thing is so here I will select delete IP and network card when the virtual machine is deleted. So I will select it. So I'll click on next. So we'll leave here as default. So this is the summary. You can go through the summary. So let's create. So I will download the key pair so that I will be able to log in into the virtual machine. So you can see deploying. I see deployment in progress. It will take a few minutes and I'll be back when it's done. So you can see that the deployment is done. You can see deployment is complete. Right. So now we can go to the resource. So if I click here, I'll go to the resource, right, which is the virtual machine. So you can see the IP address we created here. So this IP address is what we will use to log into the virtual machine. Right. So I'll click on it. So I'll go to my terminal. So if you're on Windows, you can use Bash, right, to log in into the virtual machine. Let me clear this. So, I downloaded the key pair on the downloads folder. So let me go to the downloads folder. So this is where my key pair is downloaded. So let me see if it is here. So you can see the file here. So now let me log into the virtual machine. So Azure user is the default username. So that's why I'm using Azure user at the IP address of the virtual machine. So to ask me question, I'll say yes. So now if you have this error, that means you need to change the permission of the key. So now let's say, so I will try to make it executable. So, so let's try again. Wow, so we are now logged into the virtual machine. So the next thing I'll do is to update the virtual machine, and to do that I'll type this. So the virtual machine is updated. So the next thing is to install application that will run our Next.js app. We need to install two things. We need to install Node.js and we also need to install npm. Now the next thing I need to do is to install applications. We will be installing Node.js and npm, and to do that I'll go to my repository. Don't worry, you have I have put down all the steps on this repository, which you can check out. I will add it to the description of this video. Right, so what I'll do is to copy this. So this is to install Node.js. So I'll copy it, I'll paste it here. So Node.js is installed. So to check if Node.js installed, I will type node hyphen. So you can see that we have Node.js on this machine. So the next one is to now install is npm, and to do that, what I will do is to go to this place and copy this. and paste it. You can see that it's installed, and to check if it is installed, do npm -v. So you can see that this is installed. npm is installed on the virtual machine. So the next thing is to so let's clear the screen. So the next thing is to check if we have Git on the machine. So you can see that we have Git on the machine. Now I will do now is to clone our project on this machine, right? To clone our project on this machine, clone our project to this to clone our project on this virtual machine, we need to generate SSH key, and to do that I'll just type SSH key gen. Ask me question, I'll leave it on the default. Right, so the key is generated, and this is the path to the key here, right? So let's go to the key. So if you don't understand what I'm doing, you can check our video on you can check out our video on Linux, which I will attach to the description of this video. So you can see that we are inside SSH now. So if I say ls, so these are the keys. So we have the public key and the private key. What I will do now is to copy this public key to GitHub, so that GitHub can communicate with this virtual machine. And to do that, I will do cat. So this is the key. By the time you are viewing this video, I would have deleted this virtual machine, right? So so what I'll do is to copy this. You make sure that there is no spaces when you are copying it. Make sure there is no spaces, because if there are spaces, it will not work. So I'll copy that, then I'll come to Azure. I'll go to this place, and you can see here SSH. So I'll open it up, copy it, I'll paste it and add it. So it is added to my GitHub account, right? So let's now pull the Next.js app on our virtual machine. So to do that, I will come here. You can see SSH here. I'll select it, then I'll copy it. So I'll say git clone, and I'll paste it. Say yes. So now this is inside the SSH. I don't want it to be inside the SSH. So let me delete it. So let's go to the home. So I can clone it from here. Let me clear this. So if I say ls, so you can see the Next.js app here. So let me cd into it. So if I say, so you can see the list of files inside um, the Next.js app. All right. So now the next thing I'll do is to install dependencies. Right. So I'll do npm install. So all the packages is now installed. So let me run it. So I'll say so the build is complete now. So let me run it. Let me start the application. So the application is started, and you can see that the application is running on port 3000. So this means that we will open up port 3000 in Azure. So let me go to Azure. So you can see this is the public IP address. So let me copy it. So if I come here and paste it and run it on port 3000, you can see that it's not going through. So what this means is that we need to open this port 3000, and to do that I go back to this place, then I go to networking. I'll go to network settings. Now I'll go to create port rule. I'll go to inbound, then I'll leave the source as any. On the source port, I'll leave it on star, destination any, then custom. So I'll leave it as custom. Here I'll type what 3000 because we want to open port 3000. I'll select TCP here. Then here I'll leave it on allowed. Let's reduce this to 100. 100 is the minimum you can type here. Then let's leave this one on let's leave the name on the default. Then I'll click on add. Then after that, so let's go back again and refresh and see. So you can see that our Next.js is deployed on Azure, right? So it's working well, right? But if we go back to our server and press Control C, right? Maybe we want to log out, right? We need to stop the server before we can log out. And if we stop the server, you will see that the site will stop working, right? Which will make your website unaccessible, which will make your Next.js app unaccessible. So now what's the solution, right? So the solution is we will be using PM2 to keep it alive, right? So now let's go back to our GitHub repo. I will come here, I will copy this. So the first thing we do is to install PM2, right? Is to install PM2. To do that, I will copy this. I will copy this. So it's installed now on my system, right? So the next thing is to start the Next.js app, right? So in order to do that, I'll copy this, paste, let me add sudo to it. So now you can see that the application is what started. So let's go and try it again. So you can see that it's now deployed, right? So it's deployed. So now I don't need to exit the application before I can log out, because it's running in the background, right? It's running in the background, so I don't need to exit the application before I can log out. And that's what PM2 is doing. So PM2 is running the application in the background. So let's clear this. So the next thing, so if you want to check, maybe you want to check the logs, you can see here I have PM2, yeah, PM2 here. So this is the logs. Maybe if you're having any issue, you can use that to check what the issue is, right? So that's it. So the next thing is the port, because if your users wants to visit your website, you will not expect them to start typing this port, right? So how do we remove it? So we need to change this port to 80. So we will be using Nginx to do that, right? And to do that, well, first of all, we'll need to install Nginx. And to install Nginx, sudo install, sorry. So now you can see Nginx is installed, right? So Nginx is installed. So let's check. So let's check the status of Nginx. Okay, it's not installed. Sorry. So it should be, sorry. So it's installing. So Nginx is installed in our virtual machine. Let me clear the screen. Now let me check the status again. So you can see that it's running on our virtual machine, right? So the next thing is to create the configuration. So in order to do that, I will copy this, paste it here. So I will remove this. I will also update this on the repository. So I'll copy this, paste it here, right? So now you can see that you can see the server name. So I don't have what a domain. What I will do is to use the IP address of my virtual machine. So I'll go and copy that from here. Now I have used the IP address as the server name, so we don't need to impute the 3000 again on the browser, because this Nginx will be used as a reverse proxy. The default, which we know is port 80, the person doesn't need to type 80, right? The person just needs to type the IP address or the domain name, right? Which in most cases is usually the domain name, which you will put. Then you know that our application is running on localhost port 3000. So Nginx will now reach out to our application using what this proxy path, right? Which is localhost port 3000, and that's where our application is running. So let's save it. Right. So now let's see. Let's make sure it is there. Let's cut it. Now let's text to make sure that everything is fine. So you can see that the text is successful. The next thing is to reload. I need to add sudo to it. So let's try out restart. So the restart was successful, right? The next thing um, is to link, is to enable the our configuration, is to enable our configuration, and to do that we just copy this and paste it here, press enter. So you can see that it already exists. I think I've done that before, so it already exists. So let's test it out and see. So we'll go to this page. So I will remove the port, press enter. So now the issue is that we have not opened port 80. So let's do the same thing we did for port 3000, right? So we'll go back here, go back to network settings, and click on this inbound rule. So let's HTTP. So HTTP is port 80, TCP allowed. Let's use 100, 101, and let's leave it like that. And I'll click on add. Now that it has been added, let's test it again. So you can see now that I did not add the port, which is 3000, and it's working. So now I can also go back to my virtual machine and do what, and log out, right? So now you can see that I'm in my local system now. So let's check if it still works. So you can see that it's still online, right? So that's how to deploy Next.js using Nginx and PM2. So the next thing we need to do is to delete the resources. So to delete the resources, I'll just go here, go to my resource group, then select it, select my resource group, and what, delete resource. So when you delete resource, it deletes everything inside um, the resource group. And that's where we'll stop for today. If you like what we do, kindly subscribe, like, and share our videos so that others will also learn from our videos as well. And also you will get updated on our new videos. See you on the next one. Bye.